So let's take a look at 15 things that you should set up on your brand new Z Fold 6. Okay, so just like we mentioned, we have 15 options to go through that you should set on your brand new folding phone from Samsung, the Z Fold 6. So let's start with this guy. These navigation buttons down here at the bottom is how the phone first ships. And you know, the 3 dots will do the multitasking window to see your open apps. The middle one's a home button, and the far one is a back button. I'm not a big fan of the buttons anymore. Gestures have become my preferred option to use in Android. So first tip is how to change this. So we'll go into settings, and then we're going to go to display, navigation bar. Navigation bar here is where we will change it to gestures. And now we see that the buttons remove, and it is all done via swipe gestures now. Okay, number 2 is fingerprint. So for some reason when this device initially ships, when you hit the fingerprint button, it isn't an always on fingerprint. What happens is that the screen is off. You have to first press the button in, then use your fingerprint to unlock it. To me, that seems like an extra step that you should not have to do. So to resolve that, we're going to go into settings again. We're going to go to privacy and security. You can go to biometrics, fingerprints. And within fingerprints is an option to choose fingerprint always on. So you have options in here how you want the fingerprint to always be on. I wouldn't set it to any of these other 2 options. I would do cover and main screen. That way if the screen is off and you put your thumb on the screen, it instantly unlocks it and goes straight into the phone. Unlike having to press the power button and then press it again to get your finger read. Okay, number 3 is called Auto Blocker. This is a feature that helps secure your phone even more by compromised apps or other compromised solutions on your device. This will block you from APK downloads, but in most situations you would want to avoid that unless you really know what you're doing. So again, we're going to go into security and privacy. Then we're going to scroll down here. We're going to go to Auto Blocker. And here it basically tells you the options of what it's doing. So it blocks malicious commands from USB, blocks malware, and blocks software updates via USB cable. So these are just things that help protect your device more from security issues. It's just conscious of helping you keep your device more secure. Another one that I really like, and very few phones have this, is called Stackable Widgets. So if we hold down on the screen, widget, let's say you add a battery widget. Let's say you resize it, whatever you do. Now if you hold down on that widget, you get the option to create a stack. Hit plus on that, find another app or widget. Let's say the clock. Now, if we swipe on the actual widget, we can see that it actually changes between them. So essentially, you're minimizing all your real estate being used by making these stackable options that you can place anywhere, and multiple stackable widgets that you can place anywhere and then swipe through them. I really like this to just minimize clutter and having a whole pane of widgets all over the screen. And essentially I can even have more widgets this way because then I can stack them and have more information on one page. The next one is a very large platform of many options, and that's called Good Lock. Essentially Good Lock jacks your phone up to a whole nother level on what you can do customizable with the phone, from how the power button and the volume buttons work to how your notification panels, and how your quick launch is set up, to time and options up here on the toolbar. There's a lot you can do, but the big question is, how do you find Good Lock? If you go to the Play Store and try to look for it, you will not find it. You actually need to go to Samsung Store. Go to Store, that's the Galaxy Store. Once it loads, you're going to do a search here, and you're going to look for Good Lock. You'll download that. And so basically at this point you have a plethora of other miniature apps inside of this main app that you can download. You have things from recustomizing your complete theme with different fonts and theme packs, color packs, etc., to customizing what your pin does. You can even change how the pin menu opens by hitting the little pin button, all the way to how your phone locks and what information is on the lock screen. There's a lot of apps in here, and if you want me to go through Good Lock sometime and do a Good Lock video just on what capable out of the Samsung devices, and this works on other Samsung phones as well, like the Z Flip 6 or even the S24 Ultra. These are all options that are available to use within all the high-end Samsung phones, and there's a lot here. Option 6, now we're going to go into settings again, which is going to go over advanced labs. So we're going to hit the gear, advanced features, and then we're going to go into labs. These are all the additional features that are part of the Fold, and you may even want to look through the whole labs section here as well in advanced features. There's other things with flex mode panel, multi-window, but some of the most innovative options are in labs, and the one that I specifically recommend enabling is multi-window for apps. And let's say a website open, and then your gallery, and then your phone open as well. And see, I can keep stacking these and moving them around without them trying to get in coordinates or corners. So it's just an option to open up even more flexibility with multitasking on your phone. And remember, with how the Samsung phones are with multitasking, anytime you want to, you can actually minimize one of these apps and still have a bubble floating around by just tapping on the bar at the top and then hitting these two little arrows to minimize it. Now if I tap on this, I see these apps that are still available to use, but now they're out of the way. So really look in the advanced features. Flex mode has a lot of good stuff I would recommend as well. This allows you, when the device is open, to basically use the bottom part as like a keyboard or mouse. But look through advanced features, there's quite a bit. If you want me to cover all of that as well, let me know. The next feature is yet another one that's in advanced features, and that's number 7, which is swipe in split. Basically, if we go to multi-window here again, we have a bunch of options that we can even customize our multi-windows even more. But one that I find helpful and is kind of a hint to other folding phones that have this same feature that I really like is enabling this. Now, see what happens when I swipe in. Instead of trying to do a screenshot, it'll actually pull the device in and then allow me to select another app that I may already have recently open, or come down here and select another app. It's just another quick way to quickly open and do multitasking on the device. The next option is continue apps on the cover screen. I believe this is very beneficial, and you do this from the settings as well. So you'll go into display. But if you want certain apps to continue what you're doing from the main screen to the front screen, you can set that accordingly. By default, what happens is if you are in the middle of an app on this screen and you close your phone, it will not auto open that app on the outer screen. So for example, if we enable Chrome and we go to Chrome here, now if I'm on some web page and I close the web page continues to be open. This to me is how it should be by default. Essentially what this allows you to do is then have this device function and continue to function with where you left off. You may have situations where you might have this screen open doing some multitasking, but you need to continue doing some task on the go or on the move, and if you don't have this on, what will happen is that app will then minimize in the background, and then you'll have to swipe up, open the app again, instead then continuing it where you left off. Another good option is when you're here at the desktop, a lot of times it is difficult to reach the top of the screen, regardless if it's the main screen or the cover screen. And one of the options that makes it easy to get to settings is anywhere in the middle of the screen, in the middle, you can just pull down and get to your settings easier. It's ease of use, and you don't have to reach as far with your fingers to reach the top. And to enable that, it's again in the settings. Go here and we'll scroll down to home screen. Home screen is another place that has several options that you may consider looking at, but the one in question, swipe it down for notification panel. So once that's enabled, you'll be able to do this from anywhere on the desktop and open the notification panel. Another new feature that is in the newer versions of Samsung phones is circle to search. This is a Pixel feature that has also come to the Samsung lines, and basically, let's say you are scrolling through some news article and you see something that you really want but you don't know what it's called and you want to search for it. If you hold on this bar at the bottom, this will activate Circle Search, which is like Google Lens, but is just a quick way to launch it and get Google Lens open and then provide you information on what you circled. Number 11 option is just a preference. I find it very useful myself, but the battery percentage is not on by default. So to enable that, the easiest way is just to hit the gear and then hit search, show battery percentage, and right there is your toggle for it on. As by default, you can see it's just a little battery indicator. I prefer to actually see the percentage. Small, just a little tweak that I always enable on Samsung phones. Now, as far as the power button, by default, if you hold down the power button, it may activate or do other features that we'll just say you probably wouldn't prefer to do. So to change that, what we'll do is, again, the easiest way is just to search for power, side button, which again is under advanced features. This is another option that you need to look at under advanced features. By default, it is on that option. I switch it to power off menu. So now once you hold the power button down, you get the standard power reset menu that is typical on Google devices or Android devices. Another thing that probably should be looked at is, by default, the cameras will only be set to record in full HD instead of UHD, which is ultra high def, which how we can change that is by going into the video section. See, by default it's on FHD. We'll want to switch that to UHD, or maybe even 8K if you want to experience there, but UHD is 4K essentially. And then you have the options between 30 and 60 frames. Another thing that I like to change is the placement of the brightness slider. This can be hidden under a further menu to pull down. I like it being the first swipe, that way I can adjust it on the fly really easy. Change that. We'll pull this down. We'll hit the edit button. This brings up the options on what you can do with the quick panel. There's a lot of things to go through in the quick panel that you can adjust. Buttons you can move around, how the menu looks, but the biggest one we're looking at here is brightness control, show always. That way, instead, what it does typically is look like that, where then you have to pull it down again to get the brightness control. With this feature set, now when you pull down, the brightness control is right at the top. And last but not least is one of the biggest things that Samsung talked about at their Unpacked event for these phones, for both the Flip and the Fold, and that is Samsung AI. And so there are some actual interesting features in here, but if we go to Galaxy AI, there's a whole section of options in here for things that you can actually enable. Note Assist is actually a pretty good one. It summarizes it all and dictates all your information. Same with Transcript, it's another option to save your dictation. And even Call Assist now, which is similar to what Google offers for helping with blocked calls and all those spam calls. So there are legitimate things in here that help with utilizing the phone and utilizing AI features. So definitely check out within your settings Galaxy AI, see if you want to enable any of these settings. And that is it. That is the 15 settings I would enable when getting started with the Z Fold 6. And that concludes the items that you should first set up on your brand new Z Fold 6. If you have any other things you want me to cover, or questions maybe about Good Lock or other options within the Z Fold 6, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.